Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Grim Dawn. We have made it to ultimate difficulty. And, of course, we are gonna see if we can survive that one as well. The difference between veteran mode and elite was, of course, that elite it was more difficult, and especially towards the end, the difficulty definitely increased quite a bit more, and no longer feeling as immortal as I might have felt before. So I'm very curious to see if on Ultimate here, if things are gonna feel any different from that. So as always, we're just gonna push forward and see. In a previous video that wasn't quite part of the series, but that I did make afterwards anyway, I now explained that there's currently in version 1.0.9 there is a bug which, if you get affected with a curse or something that lowers all of your resistances, then your block chance is also going to do wonky things. It might get lowered a little bit, but it might also get reset to, let's say, negative 202% chance to block. Which, of course, in terms of block chance in the game, it's effectively 0 chance, so that means you'll never block, and, well, that's gonna be rather painful. Because, for example, if we look at our cells here, we have a 72% chance to block attacks. Yeah. If that suddenly becomes 0, of course, we'll be taking quite some more damage than before. Oh, that's the reason why I held off a couple days before making this specific video. Because it popped up on the forums, the devs were looking into it. And my hope was that maybe within a day or two they would put out a hotfix or something to resolve this. Oh, it's been 3 days later, there is still no hotfix. So I'm just gonna push forward. In all fairness, people did some testing. They don't remember having seen the problem prior to 1.0.9, so we can assume it was there just for only the duration of 1.0.9, and 1.0.9 has been out for quite a while already. I fought Anasteria in 1.0.9. I fought Lucius in 1.0.9. I fought a whole bunch of pretty gnarly bosses that definitely had resistance reduction, and I didn't die. Maybe I was lucky, maybe I was skillful, maybe the fact that I've got a large health pool as well as a boatload of regeneration, and that, if my life goes too low, I simply withdraw from the fight, recover my strength and then push back in. No, maybe that combination of all factors basically just allowed me to survive despite the bug being there. So, but for now, I'm just gonna be cautious, but it's a new difficulty. I would be cautious anyway. But yeah, it's still there. The warning is still up until we see a hotfix, or if 1.10 comes out or whatever. Then yeah, just be careful. That's gonna be it. Let's see, wasn't there a big unique dude underneath the tree here? Yeah, exactly, you. Barrock the Bloodied, level 74, has some friends. Of course, the more friends the merrier. Because if they surround me, attack me, Counter-Strike's gonna trigger more often, and I'm gonna deal more damage to the boss as a result. I don't think I did an overview of our stats now that we have made it to Ultimate, so I'll do that. I'm actually pretty pleased with where we are right now. So, current stats. We have nearly 12,000 health. That keeps hovering about that point, especially because I keep changing items, so I sometimes sacrifice some life to get more resistance and things like that. The top row, 83% fire resistance and plus 90 over maximum. Even with the heaviest of curses, I don't see this going below 83% anytime soon. Cold 65, so we just need 15% more to bump this to the max. Lightning is at 80 plus 1%, so if we get cursed we're gonna lose lightning resists, but for regular gameplay it's fine. I think curses, no, you lose like 20 or 30% resists. That's what I think I've seen so far. So in the ideal case, you want to be overcapped on all resistances by 30% to effectively make sure that curses don't affect you. Poison and acid, 80 plus 5. Pierce, 69%. But on the devotion tree, I just hit a button I probably shouldn't have. That's too bad. I think I drank one of my rare potions there. Stone form. It triggers 8 out of 12 seconds, 15% chance on block. So during fights, it's going to be up 2/3 of the time basically. 25% extra PS resistance. So in fights, it's gonna bump between 69 that it is now and 99, which means of course there's gonna be 19 overcapped. So this one is in a pretty decent state and it will overcap itself regularly. Bleeding is at 52. Due to our belt, we can push it to 87. So this one actually has quite a way to go. 35 points to just cap it. And then of course another 30 to overcap it. Vitality, 68, so we need 12% more. Ether, 69%, so we need 11 more to cap it. And Chaos is at 60, so we need 20 more to cap it. So I'm pretty darn pleased with what we have here. These are really nice stats to start a new difficulty level with. So of course, we are gonna find better items, higher level items with more stats, more of all the goodness we would ever want. So it's gonna solve itself, and well, these resists, they will fix themselves soon-ish. Currently, we don't have any faction with Nemesis yet. We actually have a quick chat and look at that. We have Homestead and Revered. Problem is the augments for armor that we can buy from Homestead, they're not really useful. So it's gonna be Devil's Crossing, it's gonna be the Black Legion. Those have the things that we really would want to socket in our armor to fix our resists. That's just something to keep in mind. For the rest, the Ethereals are on Hatred, and we need 3,000 or 3,154 more kills to reach Nemesis status, at which point, at some parts in the game, we will get Nemesis spawns, which are insanely powerful, basically just souped up hero monsters. Chthonians, they're just low level hatred, but 10,000 kills, that's gonna take a while more. On that, they basically just reached hatred as well, and that's 10,000 more kills. So it's gonna be the Ethereals that will be the first ones. And because Ethereals are just so spread out through the game, they're the easiest to level as well. But for now, we're just gonna play through the story, do all the things we have done before, and we're gonna do them again. But this time, for the ultimate time, for the ultimate difficulty. See, ooh, there's a crystal cluster there. Oh yeah, we could actually blitz to it. That's nice. I like it when we can blitz to things that are rather far away. Saves you a lot of walking. Blitz is very convenient that way. For the first quest, of course, we have to liberate the burial cave yet again. Liberate it of all of its goodies.
I can't do that yet.
So on normal, and I'm not even sure on elite, but at least on normal there is the devotion shrine down there. On ultimate it's not. The first one's gonna be in the White Mire Cavern, and that's gonna be one where we have to fight. That's gonna be a desecrated devotion shrine. And inside of ultimate difficulty there are a grand total of 5 devotion shrines where fighting is the way to unlock it. And therefore you don't have to pay anything except for the blood of your enemies, and I really like that as a currency, to be honest. Problem is they are rather spread out, and the latest one is going to be in the Bastion of Chaos. It's the White Mire Cavern, it's the Steps of Torment, it's the Den of the Lost, which is in the Royal Hive, so that's the Mapteran Queen. Then we got the Village of Darkvale, and then we got the Bastion of Chaos. Those are, if you don't want to spend any currency and don't want to craft any items, those 5 are going to get you maxed out if you taken all the points on normal and on elite. Them's the rules. If, however, you are impatient and you want to get them a little bit earlier, then in the underground transit there is going to be another devotion shrine, but it requires that you bring along a Aether shard, which are plentiful. You can actually find them in that area. You can even find them here, so that's not going to be an issue. But you also need to craft a Calamity, which is a first tier relic. So not difficult to craft. Most expensive ingredient is probably a tainted brain matter, if I remember correctly. So price of entry there, not too big. Calamity, it's a tier 1, those are easy to craft. Then next up is going to be in the East Marsh, if you have a look at Act 1 as a whole. I'm not quite sure how the leveling goes, whether you want to do East March after you complete the storyline, or whether on Ultimate you can just do it as you go along. I would not be surprised, no, this is speculating, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a level 80 or so area in Ultimate. At 80 minimum, that is, not maximum. But, I don't know. But going with Act 1, that's the first one that you could unlock. And there you would need a Mistborn Talisman and a raw tainted brain matter. So if you need to craft something in the talismans, they often usually require something along the lines of a tainted brain matter or an ancient heart or something like that. So you're gonna need 2 of those kinds of currencies. Then next up is going to be Cronley's Hideout, and there you need very appropriately a Gunslinger's Talisman. A Covian Undercity is going to be a Coldstone and a Hallowed Fang. Which I think Coldstone, I don't think it's a relic, so that might actually be a pretty good deal. Tyrant's Hold, it was listed as that you need a Rampage. I've got a suspicion that in the forum thread something was... maybe that's a relic, but most of the time there's 2 parts that you need and there's only listed 1, so I'm not sure if that's the entire story or not. But no, it's basically most of the things where you have to pay something, you need some sort of relic to get by. The Aztecan Valley, the avatar of Mogdrogan, of course, is still going to be, you need the quest plus an Ancient Heart. Which actually is among the easier ones to obtain in this difficulty. Especially if you want to do it for quest completion, getting some reputation with the rovers, then if you're gonna put it on your list, you might even consider that to be your final one. Oi, you don't get back up. And stay down, yes. After that, you got the Lost Tomb of the Damned, which is in the Tomb of Archon Bartholom, and there you need an Ancient Heart, a Blood of Cthulhu, and a Tainted Brain Matter. So that's 3 pieces of rare currency. That's quite a price. Now, of course, the upside is you don't need to have been lucky enough to find a specific blueprint or something like that. And then the Black Sepulture is going to be a Blood of Cthulhu and a Rotten Heart. Rotten Heart is fairly expensive when crafting, if I remember correctly. I remember making one and I had to farm quite some areas to get all the components. Hello there, Blue Boots. So there are level 74s in here and we're completely surrounded. Hello there, Rav, the Void Touched. Okay, if you come out of the damaging terrain, I would very much appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, come on. Are you a werewolf or are you a mouse? Come on, fight. Fight. Yeah. Werewolf is being a mouse. Terrain damage is not so bad. We'll, okay, we'll get our boots dirty. Werewolves these days. Just not fearsome anymore. What can you do about it? Yeah, he's nearly dead. So there's that. Boom, boom, boom. And he doesn't even drop a rare loot. Yes. Then we got the true hero of the story, Pasquill the Hoarder.
That skill's not ready.
Who actually goes down faster than the werewolf, which is funny. But of course this one actually attacks me, so there's that. So far, damage coming in is pretty darn manageable. It's not a massive step up from Elite. Health bar rarely moves. On the other hand, it is early Act 1 and the monsters in early Act 1 on all other difficulties, they are pretty harmless, I would say. Because it is, of course, the beginning of a difficulty level. And as such, it might not be the best baseline. Once we get toward Act 3, Act 4, that's where we really started to notice the bump in Elite as well. So let's postpone judgment until later. Hello there, Pharaohs the Rotted. I mean, as an interesting benchmark, I haven't felt the need to use Overguard at least once. I haven't had to use it yet. Because just plain old regen and a couple of those life threshold trigger events, they have been enough to keep our life above 10,000 basically. So I wonder how fast the leveling is gonna go. Most of the time, the early parts of the game, leveling goes rather quickly. Of course, we are level 70 now. So we'll see how it goes. Also, we might wanna go back and have a chat with John Bourbon, speaking of getting experience. One of the upsides, of course, is we have a pretty good amount of ether resistance. If we have a pretty good amount of ether resistance, then, oh, we're not gonna get hit as much by ether resistance or other types of damage. So a lot of the edges have been shaven off quite a bit compared to normal. Normally ether and chaos have been on the low end in terms of resistance, and now they're actually pretty darn middle of the pack. I think bleeding resistance... No, actually technically ether is still the lowest with 44. Wait, 44? Not 69. Oh wait, I accidentally swallowed the ether resistance potion earlier, didn't I? Yeah, that... Okay, so we actually need a little bit more ether than I thought, but that's where the Black Legion armor augment enhancements come in. Plus this one do boots of unseeing swiftness, physique, movement speed, chance to avoid projectiles and melee attacks, less lightning light radius, elemental resistance, there's pretty darn a lot of them, and reduced entrapment duration. And when hit, have an interruption, so we get less movement speed. Okay, so the idea here is that you're fast moving outside of combat, they're travel boots, but in combat you don't get a bonus from that. And that's meant to help you get out of combat, but just get faster into combat. I can respect that. But if you compare the stats with what we have currently, fire resist, lightning resist, technically we are overcapped. Well, we're overcapped on fire, lightning, actually +1 overcapped, and that means we need it. And chaos resistance, the current boots are just way better. Hello, piles of loot. So we're just gonna push slowly forward into the next. Oh wow, triple hero mosquitoes. Can a mosquito truly be a hero? But they are level 73 and 74, that is plus 3 and plus 4 levels. So they're really trying their darnest to extract geysers of blood from me, but, well, of course I regenerate really quickly. Just wonder, after being so viciously attacked by mosquitoes for quite a while, how many of those mosquito bumps will you have on your arms and the rest of your body after being so viciously attacked? Or is the hero like, yeah, shrug, don't care? Well, we found the purple item, so of course we have to have a look at that. What did we find? Ooh. A level 75 death marked decapitator, which is a one-handed axe that has less damage than our current green mace. Reason for that is that this one is intended for the Nightblade. Plus 3 to execution, that's one of the that's the final skill in the passive tree that it has all the way at the top. That deals with passively increasing your attacks. Execution is a single target, high burst block-based attack. Physical to cold damage conversion, that's also something that works against us, and it doesn't boost any of the damage types that we care about. 30% chance on crits to get a cleaving axe, 3 target maximum, which does a bunch of piercing damage as well as a percentage of the main hand damage, and it's part of the Death Mark set, which gives bonuses to cold damage, pierce damage, attack speed, pierce resistance, plus 2 to all skills in Nightblade at 4 parts of the set. That's pretty darn cool. And at 5 parts, 30% chance to avoid projectiles. That's pretty darn good. 10% physical resistance, that's also nice. And a Reaper's Mark. Granted by item, mark your target for a swift and painful end. Doesn't say what it does, but we found ourselves a purple, and purples are cool. But in this case, this is not the purple I'm looking for. Not specifically looking for any purples, but well, something that benefits soldiers and maybe to a secondary extent the demolitionist. That's more my thing. We have arrived in the Whitemire, and according to my notes, there is going to be a cave here that will have a desecration shrine. Also, there is this nice little stone altar here which has loot. I like loot, so I'm gonna loot this. Look, more mosquitoes, and there is a cave. Interestingly, this one is not clearly marked on the map. Interestingly. But there is something down there. What are you? Jasper. Ah, this is where some rovers are being held captive. This is good for rover experience or a reputation, I think. And of course, faction reputation is pretty darn useful. Hello, your slaves here. I can get you out. And then we get 250 reputation. Excellent. But these, of course, are just regular humans. They're not faction affiliated or anything, so we're not really gaining a lot from it except for the loot. Doesn't help us advance our reputation with the Devil's Crossing, for example, because they are not Grondi's gang. Waypoint, nice. Slave necklaces. Ah yes, of course, we have to hand those in to the rover vendors that are also somewhere in the area. I think they're up on a ledge over here. And was there... No, it was further ahead where you also had a dead end like this that actually had loot lying about. This one was guarded, yep. Second wave. Ooh, wow. These guys are actually doing some decent damage. That's Overguard, just to get some regen going. See, let's switch targets, do some damage to the other one. That way, of course, we keep 2 targets hitting on us. Which, a regen and Overguard combined can handle it. Well, okay, we lost the other target now. But man, do these guys have a boatload of life. I wonder how long the grind against the Nemesis boss is gonna be, or whether they are actually gonna be relatively fair fights.
Not ready.
Very curious to see for the very first Nemesis encounter. Might be the last, but who knows. So far, that's one of the few aspects of the game that I don't have any experience with. Well, outside, of course, of Ultimate difficulty, which this is my very first time playing in.
Not ready.
One of the interesting bits here is that the gameplay is not really changing a lot. Also, I think we're getting to a pretty decent length for this episode. So let's go back, hand in our quests.
The dead attack a creature. I need some time to plan.
So we'll move on ahead. Thank you for the reputation, which, well, we're maxed out on, so it's not really helping. Wait, actually, that's the other city. Ah. Well, yeah, so I'll just filter through here. Well, just talking a little bit about the general thing here. The gameplay, the moment-to-moment gameplay in Grim Dawn, it does stabilize quite a bit. I mean, if you look at what I'm doing with the skill tree, the only changes I have made to the skill tree recently have... Well, most of the progress of the character has actually been in the devotion tree for just going for star signs that have activated abilities. But a lot of these are passives, so there's a lot of passive gameplay that doesn't really change the moment-to-moment gameplay of this specific character. Because this character, what we do is we hit with Cadence, we shout with Warcry, we approach packs with Blitz. Sometimes we get out of trouble with Blitz, but that's rarely the case. In case of panic, we use Overguard as basically as a heal. And we have Blade Barricade, which I think we are getting, yes, from Mark of the Myrmidon over here, as just an extra bit of damage, because it just adds a boatload of Pierce Retaliation damage. And it also actually increases our maximum Pierce resistance as well as our Pierce resistance. That's an interesting little detail I hadn't even considered. So we did up its 88% Pierce resistance when we trigger it. Cool. Useful to remember if you actually remember what monsters specifically do pierce damage. No, archers, maybe everything that drops stingers of some sort, so it's going to be wasps, it's going to be spiders, things like that. But moment-to-moment gameplay, this build specifically, all we're doing is just building up our life pool. We've already built up all of our retaliations, and currently we just need more cadence and we need more single target damage to deal with bosses, because they just have a absurd amount of life compared to regular mobs. No, it's easily a factor of 100 or more difference with regular mobs versus either bosses or those Hulk things that we encountered, or those floaty obelisk kind of things that are rooted in the floor and then burst out. Those kinds of things, but the build itself is rather static, and items you find, they are more like small enhancements rather than build changers. And that is... I don't know, I'm very curious to see if when we start finding some of the end game set items, whether they are gonna provide some noticeable changes to the build or noticeable quality of life improvements, or whether it's just gonna be a numbers game, whether the numbers are going to go up, but the gameplay doesn't really change. No. For this series, I just want to see if I can actually complete ultimate difficulty, because I haven't done it, so it is nice to have done it and have a experience-based opinion on it. But for future builds, I might decide that playing through veteran mode once might be enough if ultimate and elite are not going to be noticeable different in terms of gameplay experience. Then I would personally rather play 3 different characters through veteran rather than a single character through all 3 difficulty levels, if it means that the 2nd and the 3rd difficulty level are basically going to be repeats of the previous one. That said, no, this is a extremely passive character, so it does give me a weird perspective here. And maybe the next character, Necromancer Occultist, if that is going to be a very much more active build with more active skills that will actually gain some significant improvements by leveling them up, by just adding more gear, getting more active procs things, might be that the experience is going to be different. But so far, I'm not entirely sure about the difficulty levels. So if you have any experience with the higher difficulty levels and multiple characters playing them through higher difficulty levels, what's your opinion on this? How do you see it? Is my initial assessment here based on a single character, is this a fair assessment? Or is this really a warped perspective because my character is just so intensely passive? No, I'm very keen to hear it, so if you have an opinion, please do leave me a comment. I always appreciate that. And with that, I'm gonna thank you very much for watching this first episode of Ultimate Difficulty. And I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.